Hello there, thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan and these are your headlines. Drums containing chemical waste found dumped outside Pasir Gudang. 2 men charged with attempted smuggling of over 6 million ringgit cash out of Malaysia. And Datuk Seri has been cleared of shady money transfer allegations. Good evening. After a search and rescue operation that lasted 7 hours, the body of the 4th Myanmar worker was pulled from the site of a landslide in Batu Ferringhi, Penang at 4:35 a.m. today. The Penang Island City Council has launched an investigation into last night's collapse of an under-construction retention wall at a holiday resort in Tanjung Bunga, which buried the 4 workers alive. Police are still trying to identify the victims. Over 100 fire and rescue personnel from 5 fire stations, as well as members of the Special Tactical Operation and Rescue Team of Malaysia, STORM, were involved in the operation. The rescue team had faced some difficulties in removing the bodies, as there were many piles of iron and a taproot at the scene. As no identification documents were found on the victims, police would contact the Myanmar embassy to get their details based on their fingerprints.
Tuan punya tempat ini telah pun memanggil 4 orang pekerja Myanmar yang dia tidak tahu identiti sebenarnya untuk membuat kerja-kerja retaining wall, tebing untuk menahan daripada runtuhan. So sudah seminggu dia orang bekerja di sini. So hari ini berlaku kejadian yang malang inilah.
In the 9:25 p.m. incident last night, tons of earth came crashing down, along with a giant root at the site where the retention wall was being built. Police said the resort owners commissioned construction of the wall last week after spotting erosion on the cliff. However, checks by the authorities showed that the work was carried out without a permit from the local council. Penang Mayor Datuk Yu Tung Siang vowed that legal action would be taken against those responsible for the incident. Elsewhere, 4 Bangladeshi workers were reportedly injured after a building platform under construction collapsed in Wangsa Maju on Tuesday night. The 4 workers were said to be working when the 13-meter platform collapsed. The APM received information on the incident at the site of an apartment project at 9 p.m. and arrived at the location 10 minutes later. 12 APM personnel and 3 ambulances rushed to the scene at Jalan Wangsa de Lima Lapan. The victims aged 23 to 31 were taken out about an hour later and sent to the Kuala Lumpur hospital for treatment. An investigation into the cause of the collapse is underway. With all eyes on Pasir Gudang following the latest air pollution, irresponsible parties are forced to get rid of their toxic waste elsewhere. About 20 industrial drums believed to contain chemical waste were found being dumped in Kampung Desa Melayu, some 20 kilometers from Pasir Gudang. These drums were found by villagers at a site which used to be the village's community hall this morning. These containers were labelled Emol 270N with stickers indicating that the chemicals were corrosive. Emol 270N is sodium lauryl ether sulfate and a typical shampoo and liquid detergent-based material that exhibits strong and powerful cleansing power. The authorities have been alerted of the findings. It was reported that the police have set up roadblocks at the Pasir Gudang exit points to stop any attempts to bring out toxic waste from the district. Somehow, some parties have managed to give the authorities a slip. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi was slapped with 7 fresh charges today, this time with accepting bribes totaling 4.24 million Singapore dollars over the overseas visa VLN system. This is the 4th time the former Deputy Prime Minister was charged at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court since last year, bringing the total charges against him so far to 54. Datuk Sri Zahid pleaded not guilty to all the additional charges after they were read to him before Judge Hakim Azura Alwi. The 66-year-old was accused of accepting between 300,000 and 1.04 million Singapore dollars on 7 occasions, all from Syarikat Ultra Kirana Sendirian Berhad. They were as inducements for him as the Home Minister to extend the company's contract as the operator of the one-stop centre in China and the VLN system. The offences were committed in Putrajaya between March 28, 2017 and March 2nd last year. Under the MACC Act, the offences carry a maximum jail term of 20 years and fine of 10,000 ringgit or 5 times the amount of the bribe, whichever is higher if convicted. The court allowed the former Deputy Premier bail of 200,000 ringgit with one surety and set July 31st for remention of the case. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Zahid will face 33 more corruption charges at the Shah Alam Sessions Court tomorrow. The former Deputy Premier is facing a total of 40 new charges involving 47 million ringgit in relation to the foreign visa system.
Ini adalah satu siri pertuduhan. Hari ini 7 dan akan ada lagi 33 di Mahkamah Shah Alam yang melibatkan transaksi yang serupa. Jadi secara keseluruhan akan terdapat lebih 40 lebih pertuduhan dan ini adalah amat serius dan memandangkan tuduhan sudah pun bermula di mahkamah. Kami akan leave it to the court to decide, of course, and go through the process.
Latifah described the allegations as serious offences involving an individual who had formerly served as a government official and Deputy Prime Minister. She declined to comment on what impact the case may have on the alleged company involved that gave the bribe to Datuk Sri Zahid. The MACC has confirmed that there are more entities involved in the Commission's civil forfeiture move to recover monies allegedly from One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB. Its Deputy Chief Commissioner, Datuk Sri Azam Baki, said the entities would be called over the matter.
Banyaklah, tapi saya akan update kemudian lah. Banyak.
Mana 41 tu bukan 41 saja, Datuk Sri?
Ada lagi. Oh, nanti dulu bagi saya masa sikit. Bukan itu sajalah. Mana-mana pihak yang menerima, yang kita dapati ada sebab atau merit yang kita perlu panggil, kita akan panggil. Bukan itu sajalah.
He was commenting on a statement by Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng on Tuesday in which he believed there were more entities that received monies from 1MDB. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Azam said the alleged transaction of $741,440 or 3.1 million ringgit from UEM Group into an account bearing Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali's name did not take place.
Siasatan yang dijalankan oleh MACC adalah berkaitan dengan report berhubung dengan akaun yang dinyatakan dalam aduan oleh Dr. Lemah Adam. Kami mendapati tidak wujud transaksi yang dinyatakan dan juga kewujudan akaun. Malah pihak UEM dan pihak Maybank juga publicly telah membuat kenyataan berhubung dengan perkara itu.
He also said a Deutsche Bank account in the Economic Affairs Minister's name that was allegedly opened in September 2012 did not exist. Moving on, former High Court Judge Dato' Abdul Rahim Uda will lead a 6-member Special Task Force, STF, to investigate the disappearances of Pastor Raymond Koh and social activist Amri Chetmat. Announcing this today, Home Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the STF will delve into the public inquiry report on their disappearances by the Human Rights Commission of Malaysia, Suhakam. He also said the Home Ministry views the findings by Suhakam on their disappearances seriously, especially when it involved the integrity of the police.
Kementerian Dalam Negeri berpandangan bahawa rentetan daripada laporan pendengaran siasatan awam Suhakam mengenai kes ini telah menjuruskan pada kerisauan orang awam terhadap kredibiliti PDRM, sedangkan PDRM dipertanggungjawabkan untuk menjaga keselamatan negara. Laporan yang dibentangkan oleh Suhakam telah mewujudkan satu persepsi yang agak negatif yang juga dikatakan tidak adil kepada PDRM selaku pihak yang dituduh.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin expects to get a report of their findings within 6 months, and the task force is given a free hand to conduct its investigations. The special task force was formed by the cabinet last month following Suakam's verdict last April that Bukit Aman Special Branch was likely behind the disappearances. Amri, who is a co-founder of NGO Perlis Hope, went missing on November 24, 2016 after leaving his home in Kanga in an SUV at about 11:30 p.m. Pastor Koh, who founded the NGO Harapan Community, was believed to have been abducted in broad daylight by a group of men in Petaling Jaya on February 13, 2017, while on his way to a friend's house. When we return, bizarre creature stirs up the internet. Stay with us for the details. Thanks for staying with us. 2 men have been charged with attempting to smuggle 6.35 million ringgit worth of undeclared local and foreign currencies out of Malaysia to Singapore through the second link checkpoint in Gelang Patah. The Customs Department is saying this is the single biggest amount of smuggled money caught nationwide this year. The cash was found inside the bonnet of a Honda Accord on June 18th during a border inspection for vehicles leaving Malaysia for Singapore. The money seized were 6 million ringgit, 10,000 Singapore dollars and 60,000 US dollars. Wow. The 2 men in the car, aged 25 and 26, were arrested the following day. Under the Anti-Money Laundering Act, they face a maximum fine of 3 million ringgit, jail time of up to 5 years, or both if found guilty. In a separate case, Johor Customs arrested a 29-year-old Indonesian man who tried to smuggle 207,000 ringgit from the country on June 14th at the Muar Ferry passenger terminal. The man is being remanded until June 28th to assist investigation. The Customs Department arrested 2 Indian men attempting to smuggle over 5,000 terrapins through the country to be sold as pets. The men were detained at Kuala Lumpur International Airport 2 on June 20th after they arrived from Guangzhou, China. Central Zone Customs Assistant Director General Datuk Zulkarnain Muhammad Yusof said the creatures, packed into plastic containers inside 2 suitcases, were worth about 52,550 ringgit. Further inspections showed that some of the terrapins died on the trip as the suitcases had no special tools or food to keep them alive.
Import yang dikeluarkan oleh Ketua Pengarah Jabatan Pilihan, di mana yang ditetapkan dalam jadual ketiga Perintah Kastam larangan mengimport 2017. So, pengimport yang gagal mempunyai AP melakukan satu kesalahan di bawah Seksyen 135A dan kurungan A Akta Kastam 1967.
According to Datuk Zulkarnain, both suspects have been remanded and face up to 5 years in jail and a fine if convicted. The terrapins would be handed over to the Wildlife and National Parks Department. And now let's hop on to our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Recently, a disturbing video of what seemed to be a gorilla-looking crow went viral on Twitter, leaving netizens scratching their heads to the bizarre and almost unfathomable form of a creature. The strange clip is seemingly the latest stuff of nightmares on the internet, which has garnered over 10.5 million views since its upload last Wednesday. Take a look. It's a crow. It's a gorilla. Nope. It's a crowilla. In this video recorded in Nagoya, Japan, you'll notice that the crow is perching on its wings with its feet nowhere to be seen. Considering its peculiar position, several Twitter users thought that the bird looked more like a gorilla than a crow standing on its forearms. The viral video of the primate lookalike caught numerous witty reactions from netizens. Some were even spamming the thread with pictures from Photoshop spoofs to sketches of the mystifying feathered creature. In the midst of the confusing chaos in the tweet, a self-proclaimed crow death expert jumped in to shed some light on the perplexing video. In a series of tweets, she explained that the creature is in fact a large-billed crow, further noting that the bird was sunning itself, which leads them to drop their wings and cock their tails. The expert added that sunning, which is a common behavior among birds, is about feather care, as sun exposure can reduce feather-degrading bacteria and mites. She ended her tweets with a chronological sketch of the crow's behavior. Well, I have to say, sometimes not everything in life that seems unusual is strange, but it's rather our lack of awareness. On to some business news. Malaysia is expected to record a slower growth in the electronic sector, no thanks to the escalating trade dispute between China and the US. MIDF Amanah Investment Bank Berhad said the slowdown may translate to a lower gross domestic product, GDP, amid sluggish demand for electronic products globally.
Berdasarkan anggaran kami, pertumbuhan KDNK dunia dijangka akan mengurang sebanyak 0.15% jika ekonomi negara China menurun sebanyak 1%. Ini juga akan mengurangkan KDNK negara Malaysia sebanyak 0.11% berdasarkan data nilai ekspor Malaysia ke negara China untuk tahun 2018.
Malaysia's electrical and electronic sector shrank by 1.9% in March this year compared with a year ago. Muhammad Reza said this was due to, among others, lower import of basic electronic components into the country, such as silicon wafer. He also warned of temporary closure of manufacturing facilities if the slowdown prolongs, which in turn could lead to price increases. And when we return, heartbreaking images of drowned migrants draw outrage. Details next. Harrowing images of a man and his 2-year-old daughter found drowned near the US border has stirred outrage, underscoring the dangers faced by asylum seekers. It comes amid a recent spate of deaths on the US-Mexico border as migrants succumb to the dangerous conditions along the route. The shocking series of photos showing the Salvadoran migrant lying facing the shores of the water and his toddler lying beside him. According to local officials, the Salvadoran migrant identified as 25-year-old Oscar Martinez Ramirez and his daughter Valeria drowned in the currents of Rio Grande as they, together with his wife, made a risky decision to cross the borders last Sunday. Ramirez carried the girl on his back, tucking her inside a t-shirt to make sure she was safe. However, harsh currents swept them away and they drowned before the mother's eyes. The mother survived the tragedy and arrived at the shore, while the pair were found in Matamoros in Tamaulipas State on Monday. Kingdom, Japan's top live-action film of 2019, is brought to you by Primeworks Studio. This film is an adaptation of the popular manga series by Yasuhisa Hara and is directed by Shinsuke Sato. Catch it in cinemas this July 18th. With that, I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and good night.
その少年は友を奪われ、その若き王は玉座を奪われた。二人が出会うとき、時代が動き出す。これは不可能に挑んだ男たちの戦いの物語。